Hello, Safe Harbor Yogis. Those of you who have not gotten to practice with me before, my name is Jen Rhodes. I've been practicing yoga for close to 17 years now. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm happy to be able to share it with you. So today, what we're going to focus on a little bit is about letting go instead of clinging to things or really dwelling in either the past or the future. So just trying to be in the present moment. So we're gonna practice only in chairs today. Those of you who are on mats, you can still do the same moves on your mat as well. And I'll try to cue to that as best as I possibly can. Okay, so we'll get started. So I get back to my chair here. All right, guys, I'm just gonna slide back so you can actually see me fully. Okay, awesome. All right, so what we're gonna end up doing today is we're gonna start with a little bit of breathing, which in yoga is called pranayama. So we'll work with that a little bit, help calm our nervous system down, and be able to fully be present for our practice today. So if everyone can sit back in their chair, you can see the chair that I'm at. If at some points I'm going to cue us to sit a little bit more into the middle of the chair, not at an unsafe point, of course, that it would topple over, but this would be what I would mean when I do say to sit away from the back of the chair, to use your own posture. Otherwise, we're going to be mostly back here, leaning our backs into the chair, okay? Our feet are on the ground, firmly planted, feet are about hip width distance. So coming into that yogic breath. So what we're going to find here first is what's called lion's breath, which is one of my absolute favorites. I feel like it releases so much. So what I would like you to visualize is anything that's been haunting you a little bit, anything that's been on your mind a little bit too much lately, or any negativity that you've been feeling. I want you to picture that coming out on this exhale, letting it leave your body, letting it dissipate, letting it go. So we're going to take a deep, deep breath in through the nose. Try to inflate your belly and your chest the best you possibly can. And then we're going to fully deflate on an exhale, but we're going to exhale through our mouths like we're sighing. So you can make a noise with it. Some people kind of hum at that point when we are exhaling. So feel free to make any noises that you would feel that are needed or necessary. And you are more than welcome to do so, of course. So we'll take that deep breath in through the nose now. Fill your belly, fill your chest. And then let it all go out your mouth with any worries. One more of those. Take an inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. So what I want to focus on here now is being in the present moment. So that means our minds are exactly where they are at this moment in time. We're not thinking about what happened yesterday. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We are simply thinking about sitting in this chair, listening to my voice, and doing this practice. So I'd like for you all, if you're comfortable, to please close your eyes, bring your gaze inward, or if you're not comfortable with closing your eyes, you can feel free to bring your gaze down to the floor. So finding that space inside yourself, though, where you can close your eyes and know you are in the zone, you're in your own body. And I'd like you to just breathe as you normally do, without forcing it, without changing it, without putting a count to your breath. Simply feeling it. So with your eyes closed, taking away that extra sense, we're able to really hone in on what our body's doing. So feel your breath without any movement of your arms or legs or wiggling around. Just simply noticing the gentle rise and fall of the belly as you breathe. Maybe bringing a hand to your belly or to your chest just to feel that expansion and contraction. Taking a few breaths here, just at your own pace, knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're doing something for the good of yourself and others. Now, if you haven't already brought one hand to the belly or chest, please feel free to do so and bring the other up to your heart. So now I'd like you to feel the connection between your heartbeat and your breath. Since these are two things that happen all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we just sometimes don't slow down enough to notice this, that we might take it for granted a little bit. So right now, with the eyes closed or our gaze at the floor, feeling both things, your heartbeat and your breath, knowing that they have not failed you yet, that as your heart continues to beat and you continue to breathe. And maybe letting a slight smile come across the face just for gratitude of our bodies being able to do this miraculous thing. Take 2 more breaths with hands where they are in this comfortable seated position. Then go ahead and release your hands down by your side so you can let them hang down off of the chair as I am right now with my hands out. Or if you have arm rests, you can feel free to place arms on there and kind of use those for leverage. But what we're ultimately going to do is we're going to try to drop one hand down toward the floor next to us while the other reaches and stretches our side bodies. So take a deep inhale in here with me. Breathe in through the nose. Let's raise our right arm high up into the air here. I'm sorry, we're about to get a dog up here. He's getting very excited. This is Jasper, who those of you who have not met. So hopefully he will be nice and quiet for us. So keep that right arm up in the air here. Left hand drops down to your left side. We're going to spin our pinky finger in toward our face. So almost that our palm will be facing back behind us. Just to open up the chest, open up the shoulder, open up the heart. It's okay, buddy. So we're going to go ahead and stretch over toward the left. So give yourself a little lean. Your back can stay against the chair, that's perfectly fine. But really reaching through this stretch, so we're growing throughout our whole right side of our torso by reaching this hand up. Just think all the way from your hip all the way to the tips of your fingers that is being stretched. That's one long line of energy there. Hold this for 3, 2, 1. Release that right arm down. Let that one take the place of where the left one was, but on the opposite side. Reach the left arm high up into the air. Stretch over toward the right this time. Pinky kind of turns in toward our face here, and our palm kind of faces back. Open up the chest and shoulder. Stretch all the way over as far as you can with safety in mind. And really hold this. Feel that stretch. You can even ebb and flow a little bit by putting a little bend in the elbow and backing out and then going back into the pose. So feel free to do any of those things. And again, hold this for additional 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release it back down. Let your arms wiggle out a little bit from that stretch. Excellent. So staying in your chairs exactly as you are. I'm just making sure that my recording is going, which it is. Good. All right. So from our seat here, after that stretching from side to side, we're going to now twist a little bit here. Okay. So coming into a twist, if you have arms on your chair, you can use those. Otherwise, you can use the back of your chair. But I'd ask for you to sit forward just a little bit, just about 2 or 3 inches away from the back, again, with safety in mind. So we're gonna plant our feet right underneath our knees. So our ankles are in line with our knees, and our knees are as wide as our hips are. So we're finding this sense of grounding. Now, if you've ever practiced meditation or yoga before, you may be familiar with the concept of grounding, which literally, it pretty much is what it sounds like it means. It's with connection with the earth, connection with the space that you're in, and almost like you're growing roots, thinking like you're a tree, like you're growing roots through your feet and you are connected to the earth, to the ground, that you have stability and that you are able to feel free to be part of the space you're in. So what we're going to do is ground those feet. So first, before we make any movements, just place your hands on your legs, on your knees or shin or thighs here. And just take a deep, deep breath. We're going to do the same lion's breath. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. Inhale here. Exhale through the mouth. And then finding this twist. So I'm going to kind of go to the side here so you can see what I'm doing in reference to this. But I'm going to bring my left hand behind me. Just going to give it a little grab onto the chair. Also, you can have the option of just reaching that left arm back behind you, okay? So either way works. So either chair or arm behind. And as I do that, of course, my torso is twisting. So your hips and your seat are going to stay exactly as they are. You're just going to either give yourself a little grab onto the chair, either with your forearm or with your hand, or my personal preference is letting that arm reach back. Try to bring your gaze either upward or, if you can, back to the back hand. So finding that twist all the way through our torso, wringing out almost like it's a washcloth full of water, wringing that out and helping our internal organs as we go. One more big breath in here and out. Bring that arm back into the middle here. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So we're going to end up twisting to the right this time. So right arm can find the chair behind you, can find the space behind you, and then just simply twisting, looking over toward the right or back toward that right hand or up toward the ceiling. Either of those options work. So finding that twist regardless, though, keeping our seat as it is and twisting from the torso up. You'll feel this a little bit in your shoulder, the back body. One more breath. And then bring yourself back to center here, back into the middle so both arms are there. Let them hang down, let them kind of wiggle out and rest if you need to move your shoulders or your arms around just from holding any tension there. And I want to share with you here a poem. Erin Hansen, she pens herself normally as E.H., had written this, and I really do enjoy the mindful aspect of this poem, and in regards to holding on and letting go, and why we do the things we do and why it's so difficult. So I want to share that with you as we're in the seat. So if you don't mind, please close the eyes or bring your gaze back down to the floor, trying to stay internal here and just really soak in the words. So she had said, "I was the type of person that held on to things too tight, unable to release my grip where it no longer felt right. And although it gave me blisters and my fingers would be numb, or would all ache rather, I always thought that holding on was worth the pain it takes." And I used to think in losing things, I'd lose a part of me too. That slowly I'd become someone else my heart had no longer knew. Then one day something happened. I dropped what I had once held dear, but my soul became much lighter instead of filled with fear. And it taught my heart that some things aren't meant to last for long. They arrive to teach you lessons and then continue on. You don't have to cling to people who no longer make you smile or do something you've come to hate if it isn't worth your while. But sometimes the thing you fight for isn't worth the cost, and not everything you ever lose is bound to be a loss. So knowing that there is this universal plan for us, that there's something greater than us, whatever that belief may be for you, and just knowing that there is a plan, we're on a path, that path is guided. So simply taking comfort in knowing that you are on a path. Right now, where you're seated, you're in the place that you need to be at this moment. And it's of course natural and suggested that you grieve anything that you lose, at least for a short while, but not to let it fully consume you. So gently blinking those eyes back open. We're going to go ahead and do some additional stretches here, just from our seat in our chair, to help move a little bit with our breath, to help create a little bit of movement and energy within our bodies. And then we'll go into a meditation together. So from where we're at, I'm just going to turn sideways for the fact of you being able to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a forward fold. So there are a few options from your seat. So I'd like you to sit away from the back of the chair, please. So sitting right around the middle. Feet are firmly planted. Knees are over top of ankles. Feet are all on the ground. Now you have a few options, depending on your flexibility and your any contraindications that you may have. If you have any shoulder or lower back issues, again, you may want to be cautious with this particular pose. So from here, I want us to all reach our arms high above our head. So we're going to windmill them up until our hands touch above our head. We're going to bring our hands down to our heart. And then we're going to give ourselves a fold forward. So you can see as I start to lean here, I'm coming closer toward my thighs with my torso. So from here, you have an option. You can stay right here and almost use your hands to press into the legs if this is as far as your body would like for you to go today. If you want to go a little deeper, bring your forearms down to your thighs, lean down a little more. And if you can still go deeper, you can go ahead and bring hands down to hang, let your head hang heavy, and just let yourself kind of collapse your torso and your chest onto your thighs. So finding either of those versions, any one of those is correct and will still give you the benefit we're looking for. So ultimately, if you can get your head below where your heart is, kind of coming into that inversion, that upside down shape where we're really letting our blood flow recirculate for a few moments. So we're going to take 3 breaths here together. Take an inhale here and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale where you are, and exhale. This time, go ahead and either use your hands on your shins, use your body strength to get yourself back up to that seated position. Go ahead and just shake your head no. Shake your head yes. You may feel slight dizziness if you did bring your head below your heart, so just be cognizant of that and know it's normal. And maybe feeling some tingling throughout the rest of the body too, just because of that circulation change. So just don't want you to think that you're the only one observing that. And those of you on mats, of course, I hope that you did participate as well and kind of do that same fold. All right, so from where we're at now, we're gonna cross an ankle over our knee. So this could be as intense or as passive as you'd like. What we're gonna do is just simply give a cross of one of our ankles over our knee. This one will start with our left side. So keeping our right foot planted just as it is, and then just simply crossing this ankle. If this is too much for you, you can feel free to let this knee come a little bit more in toward your chest to kind of rise up. The more intense it is when you push that knee down toward the ground. So you can kind of gauge that, hold on to it, maybe even interlace fingers and cradle onto that shin or knee, and still get a little bit of that hip opening part of the stretch that we're looking for here. So finding the version that works best for you, maybe playing around with it. And once we're there, we're gonna kind of play around with this foot that's up in the air here. So there's, in yoga and in dance and a lot of different areas of sports, I'll say, flexing and pointing your toes is a big thing. So flexing simply means that we're bringing our toes back toward us in most cases, or like we're standing on a wall behind us. So, or beside us, I should say. So just keeping that foot flat. Whenever pointing is involved, that would be exactly as it says, pointing your toes in a direction. So really flattening out the top of the foot and pointing them somewhere. So for right now, what we're gonna do is we're going to flex. So we're gonna stand on the wall to the side of us with that foot. So keeping that engaged, feel free to keep hands on this shin to keep that foot steady. While we're here, I want us to kind of roll our shoulders as they are, because we want them to not be hunched up toward our ears. I swear that most of us have what I like to call shrugging syndrome, where we like to bring our shoulders up to our ears in any case, which is more of a protective measure in a lot of cases than not. So from where we're at, I just like you to bring your shoulders up in front of you, kind of roll them up all the way toward your ears, and then bring them onto your back. So they're resting there. They're nice and low. You're not holding any tension in those shoulders. And really focus in on this stretch here. So without any additional movement within the pose, simply taking note of what you're feeling. So you may be feeling a little bit of a tightness or a stretch in certain areas. You may feel some warmth. You may feel some tingling. But just saying whatever that is to yourself, having a little mental dialogue about this present moment. Take one last breath in. And on your exhale, we're going to release that leg gently down to the ground. Same thing, opposite side. We're going to go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left knee or thigh this time, flexing that foot. So I apologize for not cueing to those of you who may be on the ground, but while we're in this, if you're in a reclined position, so if you're laying on your mat with your knees bent, you can cross your ankle over your knee that way. So if you want to play around in these next few moments with both sides of that, if you didn't do so already, just simply lay down on your mat, bring your knees bent with your soles of your feet about hip width distance on the mat for you, right in about fingertips reach distance if you reach down. You can simply cross one of those ankles or both ankles over those knees and kind of alternate that to get the same stretch. So I apologize for not saying that in the first place, but regardless, wherever we're at in the pose, finding our breath once again, maybe closing the eyes, feeling anything we're feeling in this very moment. Two more big breaths, in through the nose, out through the nose, in through the nose. Last exhale, out through the nose, release that foot from wherever it is. Go ahead and place it back on the ground or on the mat. So both feet are now on the ground once more. So this time we're going to kind of grow a little bit tall and find a little bit of a mini back bend here. So what I'd like us to do is just to get some rotation in our shoulders as we're seated. Bring your arms down to your sides, palms facing forward in front of you. This in yoga is what's called Tadasana, or mountain pose. So this is simply if we're standing or if we are sitting down and having our palms out here with intention. So those of you on the mat, you're more than welcome to stand up and do this, or do it from a seated position. I would like you to all roll those shoulders back onto your back one more time, just like we did before. Open up your chest a little bit, let those arms fall back. Open up the chest so it kind of puffs out into the front of you a bit more, and maybe bring your gaze up, just with maybe tilting your chin a tiny bit without really wrenching the neck, and just giving a gaze up toward the sky or closing the eyes, feeling that grounding once again, that rooting into the earth, knowing that we're meant to be where we are at this moment. And from our Tadasana, we're going to swing those arms high up over top of our head once again. Bring your palms to touch. This time we're going to interlace our fingers and press our palms toward the sky. So again, you can do this seated on the ground or standing if you're on a mat. If you're in a chair, stay as you are. We're going to really push those palms up toward the sky here. This time we're going to let those shoulders kind of ride up toward our ears as we want that stretch. So creating as much space from all the way from your waist up to those hands. Really finding that extra stretch. We're going to stretch over toward the left side. So give yourself a tiny lean with your arms and bring your gaze over toward the right as you lean toward the left. Come back to the middle, lean over toward the right, bring your gaze over to underneath that left arm. Come back to the middle, please. And then we're going to release our hands to our lower backs. So as we are in our seats here, in the middle here, kind of around, with our backs, not around the back of the chair, I should say, bring your palms to your lower back here. So we're bracing that a little bit because I want this to be super, super gentle. So what we're going to do first is we're going to bring our gaze forward. Our feet are still planted where they are. And then we're going to kind of bring our gaze up toward the sky. And as we do so, puff your chest, puff your belly out toward the front of the room. Give a little drop back with the head. Bring your gaze up to the ceiling the best you can, and kind of hug your elbows in toward one another behind you. So just coming into this stretch, holding it for one more inhale. Exhale, release those arms, release the stretch, wiggle it out however you need to. Excellent job, everyone. So from where we are here in our seats, we're going to come through a few more quick stretches, and then we're going to go into a meditation together. So I hope you're okay with that. So if you are on the ground, you can feel free to mimic this by being seated on your bottom and having one leg out long in front of you, and the other leg could be simply with the sole of that foot to the inner part of that thigh. So whichever side we're on, you can kind of play with. So this time we're going to stretch our left leg out in front of us. If you need to move out on your chair a little bit more, again, do so safely, please. But again, you can move out on that chair and just extend that right leg long, or left leg long rather. So left leg is long. We're flexing our toes back toward our face. So we're trying to almost like stand on the wall in front of us. And this right foot is just going to stay planted where it is. So with your ankle right underneath of your knee. We're going to come into another one of those forward folds. So those same options actually apply here. So what we're going to do is try to fold down toward our left toes. So I want us to do this super gently. First, I want you to find those L-shaped fingers here, your pointer finger and your thumb. Bring your pointer fingers and your thumb right around your hip crease, which is where you bend. So knowing where that is and hinging from there. So the whole top of our torso is going to stay straight, and we're just simply hinging from our waist. So give yourself a little lean forward. Again, do so with caution and go as far as you can. Once you meet where you can no longer go any further, feel free to bring those hands down to your right thigh Or if you can, I'm going to spin to the opposite side so you can see this if you look at the screen, but you can kind of walk your hands down your left shin. So that's also an option. So you're getting this stretch in the lower back here. Once you get into the stretch, you can feel free to let your head go, that the crown of your head would face more toward the toes or more down toward the ground. So feel free to drop that for just a moment. We'll stay here for about 3 breaths. Slowly and controlled, what I want you to do is bring your chin to your chest and let yourself round all the way up to seated. So make it nice and slow, nice and intentional. Come back up. Same thing, opposite side. We're going to plant the left sole of the foot on the ground, extend the right leg forward in front of us. Those of you on mats, of course, can do the same thing with just bringing the sole of the left foot to the inner right thigh. So from here, we're going to fold over the same way. So same rules apply. L-shaped fingers, bring those to your hip crease. Fold yourself forward, bend yourself forward here. And our goal is, of course, to get down toward our right toes. Like I said before, you can place hands on your thigh, on your left thigh. You can kind of walk your hands down that right shin. You can let the head drop if you're able to. So find whichever version of the pose is best for you, because everybody is different. No two people's anatomy or way their muscles work really works exactly the same. So really doing whatever you can in your own body and making it your own practice. Now everyone, bring that chin to your chest. Slowly round yourself all the way from the bottom of your spine all the way up to your chin, rising back to your seat. I'm just going to do a quick time check here on where we're at on our class. We are in good timing. Wonderful. I love when that happens. So we got some movement going today. We felt some heat built in our bodies. And now I want to focus on the mind, because that's really, really important. If you've ever seen any of those individuals who like to go to the gym very often, I guess we want to call them muscle heads or meat heads or whatever is going to resonate with you when I say that just pump iron constantly. Again, that's great, but what mindfulness does that take? Of course, you have to have discipline in just about anything you practice, but are you really in that present moment when you're just exercising? So there are so many facets to yoga, which is ultimately why I fell in love with this practice so long ago when I did. In yoga, there are many different parts. There's actually what they call the 8 limbs of yoga. So they basically are very similar to almost the 10 commandments or rules to live by. And with yoga, really just the tip of the iceberg is the asana practice, which is what we just did, the actual physical movement of yoga. Now, the really cool thing about this is that we have the option of course, mindfulness, which I'll go a little bit more deeply into now as well in a moment. So you have your mindfulness, and you also have that meditation side of things, which kind of go hand in hand with mindfulness, which is nice. And another big pillar of that is pranayama, which is your breath work. So just as we've been doing that lion's breath, that we've been paying attention to our breath, that is all doing yoga at the same time. So we're going to come into a meditative state. So I'd like you to all sit back into your chairs, or if you're on the ground, please lay down on your mat. And just find the whole back of your body touching either the chair or touching the ground. Relax all your muscles. Wiggle out your shoulders a little bit, maybe roll them in different directions. Now shrug your shoulders up toward your ears, make it really tight, almost that it's uncomfortable. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, let those drop and just fall back down. So we release that tension. Your hands can stay on your lap. that's perfectly fine. Or if you're on the ground, you can lay your arms by your sides, either palms facing up or down. I'll give the option to you all in chairs as well that, again, in yoga, it's known that placing the palms down toward the ground or planting our palms, that actually is what's known as well for grounding. So it's just as we've been doing with our feet. So palms down is to ground. And if you were looking for answers from the universe, from whatever higher power that you believe in or pray to, just simply pacing the palms up if you're looking for answers is what is said. So feel free to do either of those. Maybe your body will tell you to have one hand in one direction, one hand in the other, but maybe play around with that, feel what feels right. And again, I encourage you all, as everyone in the room hopefully is as well, closing their eyes to do so. So close the eyes. Let go of any bated breath from us, moving around a little bit in our chairs. So letting our breath come back to normal. Feeling any differences in our body from these last 30 or so moments together. Any differences in the mind, maybe, by having that little feeling, that little word of letting go. So with the eyes closed, we're not going to move a muscle, but I want you to just shift your attention to the different parts of your body from wherever you're at, either laying or sitting. So without any movement, bring all of your intention in this moment to your toes. So think about that for a second, that we're only targeting our toes. So what are your toes feeling? Are they cold? Are they warm? Is there tingling? Is there air conditioning in the room and you have your shoes off and you feel a breeze? Whatever it may be, feel whatever is there. Now please extend that attention over toward our feet, so up toward our ankles. So only focusing now on our feet and our ankles. What tingling sensations, whatever we may feel in our bodies without moving. That probably happens all the time, but we're just not still enough to notice it. So paying attention to that. Moving up to our calves and shins. Feel them. Up to our kneecaps. Up to our thighs. Through our waist and up our torso, feeling it into our bellies, into our chest. And then coming down to focus on the fingers, where they're at, without moving them. Just feeling what our resting body does when we are truly being present in the moment. Moving up to our palms, back of our hands, wrists, forearms, upper arms, shoulders. And now into our neck and into our face and our facial muscles. So right now, take notice of anything you may be doing to hold tension in the face. If you're wrinkling up your nose, clenching your jaw, closing your eyes too tightly. Just find places where in your face, in that small amount of space of our body, that you can let go, even maybe letting the jaw drop down a little bit to relax. Then paying attention to our ears, to our scalp, all the way up to the very tippy top of our head. Now I'd like you to imagine in one swoop all the way from the top of your head, down your body, down to your toes. Just shift your internal gaze all the way down to your toes once again. And then back up from your toes all the way up the legs, up the torso, up the arms, up the neck, to the top of the head, feeling everything all at once. Take a deep breath in and out. So from where we are in this still position, just simply reflecting on this last 40 or so minutes together. As we've let our minds just simply be consumed by what we're doing here instead of anything outside of the room that you're in. And just keeping those extra unnecessary or negative thoughts away. Just letting them find a cloud in the sky to attach to and float side to side and float away on. And in this stillness, just to share one last poem. This was also from Erin Hansen. She had said, "Hold on, hold on, hold on," they said. "You're a dandelion in the breeze. Look what the winds of change have done to all these autumn leaves. Hold on, hold on, hold on. This big wide world is not for you. Hold on for long enough for the last gust to dance on through." So I held on, held on, held on. They said that's how you know you're strong. But not until I wilted did I notice something wrong. I thought holding on was bravery, but when winds of change do blow, sometimes it's even braver still to let go, let go, let go. So as we're still in this meditative state, I'd like you to create in your own mind some type of mantra, some type of saying, intention, to carry away from this class with each other here. It could be something as simple as, I am present, I am in the moment, I am mindful, I am peaceful, I am not dwelling. So whatever comes to mind in regards to letting go, formulate a short phrase. Let that stick in your mind. Maybe write it down after class so you can put it under your pillow and bring it more to life. And gently, with our eyes still closed or our gaze at the ground, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Stretch your arms high over top of your head. Come into a big full body stretch if you're on the ground. Reach all the way from those feet to your fingertips. Then bring your palms to touch above your head and bring your hands down to your heart. Let your knuckles go into your sternum here. You may close the eyes again or keep your gaze low. But my hopes for you is that you are able to let go of things that aren't serving you today, and that you are able to simply be in the present moment, not dwelling in the past, not worrying of the future, but simply being here on the path you're on. We're going to end this class with the word that means the light in me sees and honors the light in you, which is the word namaste. So feel free to say that in your head or out loud to your fellow classmates, to your fellow residents, to me, even though I cannot see or hear you at the moment. We're all just going to bring our chin to our chest, bow our head into our heart and our hands, and say the word to thank each other and ourselves for this practice. Namaste. So when you're ready, feel the need to move. Just slowly sit yourself up, resonate in this peaceful moment. And once again, thank you all for joining me. I greatly appreciate you practicing with me and sharing this light, this energy, this love. If you should have any questions at all whatsoever, please feel free to ask Sarah. She will direct them toward me, and I'm happy to answer anything or provide any advice. So again, thank you for spending these past 45 minutes with me. I thank you all so much. I'll see you all next week.